Hello, Worth School. Welcome to your online experience of worship this week. As Mr. McPherson said on Monday, our theme this week is our value, humility, celebrating others. And I am fortunate to be joined during this service by Patrick van der Vost, who I'm going to be interviewing. Patrick is the former director of Sotheby's. He is also the founder of ValueMyStuff.com. He's got a really interesting story, so hopefully you will find it inspiring. Just to say that at the end of the service, as usual, there will be some optional prayer experiences that you can tune into should you want to before you head off to tutor. So I hope you have a great week and I hope you enjoy this.
If the peak of our endeavour, then, is to achieve profound humility, if we are eager to be raised to that heavenly height to which we can climb only through humility during our present life, then let us make for ourselves a ladder, like the one which Jacob saw in his dream. On that ladder, angels of God were shown to him, going up and down in a constant exchange between heaven and earth. It is just such an exchange that we need to establish in our own lives, but with this difference for us. Our proud attempts at upward climbing will really bring us down, whereas to step downwards in humility is the way to lift our spirit up towards God. This ladder, then, will symbolize for each of us our life in this world, during which we aspire to be lifted up to heaven by the Lord, if only we can learn humility in our hearts.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your online experience of Wednesday worship this week. I'm very fortunate this week to be joined by Patrick van der Vost, who is the former director from Sotheby's in London, and he is also the founder of ValueMyStuff.com, and more recently has set up a website called Christian.art, which releases a piece of art every day along with the gospel reading to help you reflect on it in a deeper way. So we're very fortunate to have you with us here today, Patrick. Thank you for joining us. And
no, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Would you be able to just give us a little bit more context about your background and how you ended up in Sotheby's and just your journey up to this point?
Oh wow! So I grew up in Belgium. I'm born in Bruges, and I studied law there at the University of Louvain. And in 1995, when I graduated, I came to London because even though I read law, I always wanted to work in the art world. And then in Europe, I think London is the center, even more than Paris, to work in sort of for the art world. I didn't know anyone in London, so I literally sort of started knocking on doors, and Sotheby's were looking for an intern in the carpet department, which I wasn't interested in at all. But I said, that's great, at least it gives me a foot in the door. So I started working in the department, and then cutting a long story short, I worked there for 15 years. It were 15 beautiful years, actually, being confronted with art sort of day in, day out. And then I sort of got that itchiness to start my own business. So I left Sotheby's in 2010, went on Dragon's Den in 2011, got investment, and then I sold the business, what is now 2 years ago, to pave the way for me to enter seminary, which I started in September last year, so September 2019.
I mean, I think that's just greatly encouraging for anybody that, you know, that is possible, just to go and do an internship and then end up where you've ended up.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Dragon's Den there.
Yes.
I mean, what was your experience of going on Dragon's Den?
So that was in 2011. It was very early on in the company. I think we only had 6,000 customers then. I mean, by the time I sold the company, we had 500,000 customers. So it was really at the very beginning stage. And the reason why I went on Dragon's Den was twofold. A, to get the exposure, of course, because the premise of the company was very easy. It was upload a photograph of the item you want valued. You pay a flat fee of £15 per item, and then within 48 hours you get a valuation of that item. So it's really geared towards mass market. So you need mass market media, and that's why I went on the program. And I think also the other reason was the experts that I asked, who were mainly all Sotheby's colleagues of mine. They wanted to see if I was putting sort of your money where your mouth is and willing to take risks. And I think it helped a great deal to bind the experts into the company and say, okay, wow, well, we're really doing something differently to anybody else in the art market. And by me going on Dragon's Den, they sort of felt part of this sort of amazing adventure, which I think, especially when you set up a company, that's what you need, is that drive and that enthusiasm and, okay, let's do something groundbreaking here. And so for those two reasons, I went on. And the experience was pretty interesting. So I was in front of them probably for about an hour and a half. So what you see, or even longer actually, and what you see is a 10-minute edit. So looking at it, I only looked at it once, I have to admit, because the edit is more scary than the actual experience on the day. But I got two investors. I got Deborah Meaden and Theo Pafitis who invested. And and it was great to have them on board. I think we worked together for about 5 years, and good days.
Yeah, wow. So, I mean, as you said, I mean, that company went from strength to strength, and you got 500,000 customers. So, I mean, it was obviously doing really well, and things were going well. So, talking to our student worship committee last week, they had a few questions for you, and one of them was, having sort of made it in that way, what led you then to sort of change direction and decide to become a priest?
Well, I think the answer is in your question in a way. Yes, I made it there, but in my eyes, I didn't make it with God. And that sort of early feeling that I've always had inside me to really give myself fully. And I have to say, when I was 28, I nearly entered seminary at that stage. But then, because my career at Sotheby's was taking off, I said to God, okay, well, just give me 2 more years. And then 2 years went by, and then I said, well, give me another 3. This is all rather exciting. So just give me a bit more time. But then as you get older, you think, wow, actually, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. So it's a feeling I've always had. It's not something that suddenly popped up. But I have to say, the last 5 years, I think especially setting up the company, even though, I mean, thanks be to God, literally, it all went well. There was this feeling, okay, well, you're achieving things maybe in earthly terms, but you're not really achieving things sort of on the spiritual side much.
Was there a particular moment for you where your sort of relationship with the Lord, with Christ, came alive, which sort of has led you down this path?
I think it was always in the moments of, how can I put this now? In the moments of worldly success, that I thought, okay, now I want 50,000 customers, and I got them, and then I went like, oh, well, okay, well, now I want 100,000 customers, now I want 250,000, and there was a point that when I said, okay, now I've got 500,000 customers, I mean, what else do you now want? Like 1 million customers? And it was this constant, and it was at each of these milestones. Or, for example, if I sold an expensive painting that I was really excited about, and I should have been very happy, and it was of those moments of achievement that I felt actually not happy at all. And so I did feel, okay, well, why is that? And that pushed me to explore further and to really start tackling it heads on.
Psalm 115. Not to us, Lord, not to us, but to your name be the glory, because of your love and faithfulness. Trust in the Lord, he is your help and shield. The Lord remembers us and will bless us. He will bless his people. He will bless those who revere the Lord, small and great alike.
And I suppose my final question is, this week we're looking at our Work School value of humility, celebrating others. And is there any particular biblical scene or particular picture that comes to mind when you think of the value of humility and how that is demonstrated in the life of Christ?
Yeah, for me, when you ask the question, of course, the washing of the feet is the first thing that comes to mind, which is a beautiful gesture of Christ in all his humility, knowing that a few days later he would die on the cross for us, and still have at that moment thinking of others, washing the feet of his disciples. So this ultimate act of humility. With Peter there, who doesn't want to sort of get his feet washed, and Judas, who will betray him a few days later, also being present in the scene. And there are a lot of very interesting paintings around that theme that show exactly sort of Peter being quite sternly looking at Christ, like, don't you be washing my feet, I should be washing yours. And Judas already sort of slightly sneaking out of the picture, ready to head off to betray Christ. So I think I'll probably be looking at a picture like that to illustrate the theme of humility.